The inventor's inheritance. The air in Alex's workshop thrummed, a subtle vibration born not of thunder but from a chorus of concurrent projects all vying for his attention. Wires, like metallic tendrils, spread across his workbench, connecting miniature wind turbines to salvaged phone batteries, a self-tending herb garden to a makeshift weather station fashioned from discarded satellite components. Poised on a stand, a drone's propellers twitched sporadically as he refined its navigation, aiming to perfect its orchard pollinating capabilities, a vital solution to the dwindling bee populations that threatened his community. He swiped a greasy streak across his brow, the smudge only accentuating his youthful appearance. The small garage resonated with quiet whirs and clicks, a comforting background harmony to the organized chaos of his creation. His latest endeavor, a solar water purifier, chuckled with each pristine ounce it yielded, a testament to its effectiveness. A sharp rap reverberated through the door, startling him. Maya, his neighbor and fellow gardening devotee, peeked inside. "Delivery for you, Alex? Looks official." He accepted the stiff, creamy envelope, a jarring contrast to the usual stream of recycled cardboard. The return address, Henderson and Finch, attorneys at law, sent a shiver of unease down his spine. He anticipated no legal correspondence. The letter was concise and direct. His grandfather, Samuel Harmony, had died. Alex had only fleeting memories of the man, a handful of childhood encounters with a reclusive figure residing far away. He recalled a gravelly voice, work-worn hands, and the faint, evocative scent of wood smoke and pine. The correspondence continued, stating that Samuel had bequeathed him his cabin and the surrounding acreage in Willow Creek Valley. Alex slumped into his well-worn chair, the missive trembling in his grip. A cabin? News to him. The city was his ingrained habitat, yet the allure of sanctuary, a place for true escape, was undeniable. He'd always harbored dreams of fleeing the urban sprawl, if only temporarily. Rereading the letter, seeking details, his mind conjured images of a welcoming, rustic haven nestled amidst the trees. He could establish a satellite workshop powered by sun and wind, a truly autonomous refuge. Finally, that automated greenhouse design could come to life. A buzz of anticipation coursed through him. He needed to see this place, to breathe Willow Creek Valley's air, to feel the weight of his grandfather's legacy. The ensuing hours dissolved into a frenzy of preparation. He crammed a rugged backpack with necessities, multi-tool, first aid kit, compass, and his dog-eared survival guide. The drone was stowed with care, its delicate sensors protected. Notebooks and pens were added, certain inspiration would strike amidst the wilderness. He paused, surveying the workshop. He couldn't abandon everything. He selected choice inventions, the water purifier, undeniably, and a portable solar charger. A handheld weather station, its rain-predicting sensors remarkably precise, was also included. His gaze lingered on the half-finished pollinating drone. Bringing it would be immensely helpful. Apple trees adorned his grandfather's property. After a moment's consideration, he meticulously disassembled it, placing the components in a padded container. He could reassemble it later. As dusk deepened, casting long shadows across his domain, Alex stepped back, assessing his readiness. He was set. Locking the garage, a surge of anticipation washed over him. He was uncertain of what lay ahead in Willow Creek Valley, but eager to discover it. This inheritance represented more than just a cabin. It was an opportunity to reconnect with his lineage and shape a new path. Road to Harmony Glade. The highway unspooled. A dark, glistening invitation beneath the ardent summer sun. Alex tapped a restless rhythm on the steering wheel, a nervous counterpoint to the Jeep's steady thrum. Harmony Glade. The very syllables resonated with childhood, each recollection polished by the warm glow of bygone days. The wanderer, his trusty vehicle, devoured the asphalt. He'd meticulously serviced it before the trip. Fluids checked, tires inflated, a fresh wash gleaming. Felt less like a drive, more like a return to sacred ground. Sunflowers, their faces upturned like attentive disciples, dotted the landscape, interspersed with whispering pines guarding ageless secrets. He paused at Evelyn's Eats, a diner seemingly ripped from a vintage movie reel. Faded neon signs blinked, touting apple pie sensation and Mississippi Monster burgers. Inside, the heavy scent of sizzling bacon mingled with robust coffee. Crimson vinyl booths lined the walls, overseen by a chrome jukebox, a relic of a bygone era. Evelyn, her face etched with the chronicles of wrinkles and laughter, boomed a welcome. "Howdy, stranger. What'll you have?" Alex ordered pie and black coffee, sliding into a booth by the window. He watched the world drift past, a farmer in his weathered truck, a family crammed into a minivan, a solitary biker, a leather-clad wanderer with distant eyes. Each a fleeting vignette in the vast American mosaic. Memories flickered, Grandpa Joe teaching him to fish in the creek behind the cabin. The cool, slick stones underfoot, the electrifying tug on the line, the rich scent of damp earth. Building forts in the woods, spinning elaborate tales around fallen timber and twisted branches. Long summer evenings on the porch, Grandpa Joe's stories a balm, the sky a tapestry of diamonds scattered across the inky expanse. Harmony Glade wasn't just geography, it was a deep-seated sense of belonging, a tranquil haven where he could shed artifice. That sanctuary was now under threat. The HOA's ham-fisted attempt to sever access to his property sparked a slow simmer of anger. They viewed the bridge as an impediment, he saw it as an umbilical cord, a link to his past, a passage to his future. He finished his pie, paid Evelyn, and resettled into the Wanderer. The sun dipped toward the horizon, igniting the sky with fiery shades of coral and amethyst. As he drove, he honed his arguments, anticipating their opposition. He would be resolute yet reasonable. He would strive to make them understand the significance of Harmony Glade. But should they remain unyielding, he was prepared for battle. He owed it to Grandpa Joe, to himself, to the memories woven into the very essence of that place. The road ascended, snaking through a thick forest. The air cooled, imbued with the fragrance of pine and moistened soil. In the distance, a faint gleam hinted at the lake. Harmony Glade was near, gripping the steering wheel. His pulse quickened with anticipation and steely resolve. He was ready, the gatekeeper. The wrought iron gates of Harmony Glade loomed, curlicues of blackened metal twisting into a stylized depiction of, what? Was that supposed to be a dove holding a golf club? Alex slowed the truck, the gravel crunching under his tires a jarring counterpoint to the manicured perfection of the lawn stretching beyond the entrance. He'd expected something, well, not this. A guardhouse, more like a miniature brick fortress, stood sentinel beside the gates. A figure emerged, clad in a dark blue uniform that looked starched enough to stand on its own. The man's face, shadowed by the brim of his cap, was etched with an expression that suggested he'd rather be auditing tax returns. Alex rolled down the window, a hopeful smile plastered on his face. Good morning. I'm Alex Harmony. I'm here to access my property. The guard didn't return the smile. He approached the truck with a slow, deliberate gait, his eyes scanning Alex with the intensity of a hawk eyeing a field mouse. Name, he barked, the word clipped and devoid of warmth. Alex Harmony, Alex repeated, his smile faltering slightly. He reached into his pocket for his wallet. I own the, access point to the glade? The bridge. The guard remained unmoved. Purpose of visit? I told you, Alex said, trying to keep the frustration from his voice. I own property here. I'm going to my cabin. He held out his driver's license. The guard took the license, his thick fingers obscuring most of Alex's picture. He squinted at it, then back at Alex, as if trying to discern if he was a master of disguise. Address? Alex rattled off the address of the Harmony Glade cabin. The guard consulted a clipboard, his lips moving silently as he scanned the pages. Finally, he looked up, his expression still as stony as before. I don't have you listed as a resident. Or a guest. Do you have any other form of identification, proving ownership? Alex sighed. He knew this wouldn't be easy. Look, I have the deed right here. He reached into his glove compartment and pulled out the folder containing the property documentation. He presented it to the guard, pointing to his name clearly printed on the document. The guard meticulously examined the deed, his gaze lingering on every clause and subclause. This appears to be in order, he conceded grudgingly. However, you're still in violation of several HOA regulations. Alex blinked. HOA regulations? I haven't even set foot on the property yet. Regulation 3.2 subsection B states that all vehicles entering Harmony Glade must be pre-approved and registered with the security office at least 24 hours in advance, the guard intoned, his voice as monotonous as a drone. Regulation 7.8 prohibits vehicles exceeding 6 feet in height. Your conveyance appears to be in violation. He gestured towards Alex's pickup truck with a disdainful wave of his hand. My truck is essential for hauling supplies, Alex protested, his voice rising slightly. And how was I supposed to register it if I didn't know about these rules? I just inherited this place. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, the guard stated flatly. Furthermore, Regulation 9. One clearly states that all new residents must attend a mandatory orientation session before being granted full access to the glade. Alex stared at the guard, dumbfounded. Orientation? He pictured himself sitting in a sterile conference room, listening to a PowerPoint presentation on proper lawn maintenance and acceptable shrubbery. Is there any way to expedite this process? He asked, his voice laced with desperation. The guard shook his head, his face impassive. Procedure is procedure. No exceptions. He handed back Alex's license and deed. You may park outside the gates and contact the HOA office during regular business hours. Have a pleasant day. He turned and walked back towards the guardhouse, leaving Alex stranded at the gate, the Dove Golf Club emblem mocking him from above. Whispering Pines Bridge. The dirt road terminated in a hostile barricade. Another one. Alex nudged a pebble across the tarmac, the sound sharp in the stillness. Private property. Residents only. The sign blared, the lettering arrogant in its formality. Residents only, as if he wasn't about to join their ranks. The HOA's meticulously sculpted lawns and cookie-cutter mailboxes felt like a deliberate jab. Miles of fruitless detours had transformed his hopeful shortcut into a frustrating labyrinth of dead ends and jealously guarded property lines. His grandpa, bless his intractable spirit, had warned him about these people. Fancy folk, he'd muttered, think they own the whole damn spread. He checked his phone, no signal. Perfect. He was marooned within sight of his cabin, yet functionally light years away. He threw the car into reverse, tires churning gravel as he spun around, frustration tightening its grip. There had to be another option. Grandpa wouldn't have bowed to such petty authoritarianism. He'd unearth a forgotten right-of-way, exploit a legal gray area, anything to bypass the lawn ornament lords. Rummaging for the worn map, its creases softened by age, he spotted it. A faint, dashed line trailing westward, paralleling the creek. Unlabeled, almost invisible beneath a coffee stain. Could it be viable? A fragile seed of hope took root. The road proved to be a mere suggestion, a forgotten track consumed by weeds and littered with fallen limbs. The car bucked and protested, its underbelly grinding against unseen obstacles. Each jarring impact sent a shiver down Alex's spine, conjuring an image of the HOA president's gleaming sedan, and a dark satisfaction swelled within him. Let them revel in their pristine asphalt. He'd embraced the arduous path. Finally, after what felt like an age, the trees yielded, revealing it, Whispering Pines Bridge. Or, more accurately, what remained of it. A skeletal framework of decaying wood and rusted metal arching precariously across the creek. Warped and splintered planks, some missing entirely, offered glimpses of the rushing water beneath. Railings, once sturdy, now leaned at precarious angles, scarred with age. He parked and approached with caution, the air heavy with the musk of damp earth and rotting timber. Kneeling, he ran his hand over the coarse surface of a plank. Dry rot had burrowed deep, leaving the wood soft and yielding. He tested its integrity, pressing down tentatively. It creaked ominously under the strain. His grandpa's stories surfaced in his memory. Tales of hauling timber across this very bridge, of fishing in the clear waters below, of lively bonfires shared with friends. The bridge had been the very pulse of their little world, a lifeline to civilization. Now it stood as a decaying monument to time and negligence. Grandpa always claimed the bridge was built to endure. Strong as an ox, he declared. But time, Alex now understood, was a relentless and patient adversary. He ventured to the center, feeling the whole structure list slightly beneath his weight. The vista was stunning. The creek babbled over smooth stones, sunlight painting shifting patterns on the water's surface. The air, crisp and clean, carried the pungent scent of pine. He could almost hear the echo of his grandpa's laughter on the breeze. But the tranquility was fleeting. The bridge was impassable in its current state. Repairs were essential. And that meant time, resources, and undoubtedly a confrontation with the aforementioned decorative gore despots. He leaned against a crumbling railing, the splintering wood pricking his skin. He'd persevered this far. He refused to be deterred. This bridge was more than just access to the cabin. It represented a tangible link to his past, a testament to his grandpa's legacy. He wouldn't let it succumb to decay. The secret map, the storage unit air, thick with the must of ages and relinquished dreams, caught in Alex's throat. A 20-mile trek to this forsaken corner of Meadow Creek had led him here to sift through the relics of his grandfather's existence. cramped within the corrugated walls, boxes brimmed with brittle newspapers, moth-eaten garments, and crazed porcelain dolls. He sought an answer, a key to resolving the HOA impasse over his cabin. Tearing open another cardboard container, its flaps crumbling at his touch, he discovered a rolled parchment nestled amongst time-worn photographs and letter bundles tied with faded twine. Intrigued, he carefully unrolled it. A map, not the digital kind, but an antique, hand-drawn rendering in sepia ink on what felt like cured hide. The edges were tattered, the surface stiff. He noted the river's familiar bend, the saw-toothed silhouette of the mountains. But other features existed too, unfamiliar lines, delicate embellishments, and handwritten annotations in a looping script that sparked a distant recognition, his grandfather's. Kneeling, he spread the brittle document across the dusty concrete, examining it closely. The area around the bridge was highlighted with a firm emerald stroke. Almost hidden, tucked into a corner, a notation, Harmony Land Trust. His pulse quickened. Harmony Land Trust? The name was foreign to him. He fumbled for his phone, typing the words into the search bar. Avoid. He tried variations, adding his grandfather's name, the town's. Still nothing. Frustration tightened its grip. Was this a false lead? A trivial memento? He nearly crushed the map in his disappointment, but a feeling restrained him. The meticulous care in its creation, the almost sacred way the land was depicted, suggested significance. He traced the marked boundaries, the green area extensive, encompassing not just the cabin but a considerable tract of land, including the bridge itself. A bolt of possibility shot through him. Could his grandfather have possessed the property upon which the bridge stood? It would illuminate the HOA's relentless pursuit of control. Ownership would invalidate their restrictions. He needed confirmation. Proof. Carefully re-rolling the map, a wave of hope coursed through him, a flicker of defiance ignited. It was no longer merely about cabin access. It was about reclaiming a birthright, honoring his grandfather's memory. He stowed the map in his backpack, determined to protect it from the elements and the storage unit's cold neglect. This was his trump card, his key to unlocking the truth. Back in the car, his mind whirring, he grabbed his phone. He needed legal counsel, a specialist in property law who could interpret this ancient document and navigate the legal complexities. He scrolled through his contacts, pausing at a name he hadn't dialed in years. Sarah Jenkins. She'd pursued law school. Perhaps she could offer guidance. Hesitantly, he pressed the call button. Each ring echoed the hope and trepidation swirling inside him. Hey, Sarah? It's Alex Harmony. It's been a while. Face off at the HOA. The fluorescent lights of the community clubhouse hummed. A sterile buzzing that amplified Alex's rising anxiety. Folding chairs scraped against the linoleum floor as residents settled in, clutching their meticulously organized agendas. The air smelled faintly of lemon-scented cleaner and simmering resentment. He spotted an empty seat near the back, next to a woman knitting furiously with needles that clicked like castanets. He straightened his tie, a nervous habit, and tried to project an air of calm he didn't feel. This was it, face off at the HOA. He needed to convince these people, especially Mrs. Stern, that he had a right to access his property, bridge or no bridge. The meeting began promptly at 7 p.m., Mrs. Stern wielding the gavel with the authority of a seasoned judge. Her gray hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her spectacles perched precariously on her nose, magnifying her already piercing gaze. She moved through the preliminary reports with ruthless efficiency, her voice a low, unwavering drone. Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Finally, under new business, Mrs. Stern paused. We have a Mr. Alexander Harmony who wishes to address the board. Her tone suggested he was about to address a firing squad. Alex stood, his palms damp. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Harmony. I recently inherited a cabin just outside the Harmony Acres community. A murmur rippled through the room. He could feel their collective apprehension, their suspicion. He pressed on, as you may know, the only access to my property is via the bridge that runs through Harmony Acres. Mrs. Stern's lips thinned. Mr. Harmony, we are aware of your situation. The way she said situation made it sound like a particularly nasty disease. And we are also aware that your property is not part of Harmony Acres. Legally, no, Alex conceded, but practically it is. I can't reach my land without crossing your bridge. I understand there are concerns about traffic and maintenance, and I'm happy to discuss contributing to the upkeep. I just need access. A man in the front row wearing a golf shirt and a perpetually disgruntled expression scoffed. Contributing? That bridge wasn't built for constant traffic from outsiders. Constant traffic? Alex raised an eyebrow. I intend to use the cabin as a weekend retreat. Hardly constant. Mrs. Stern rapped the gavel sharply. Order, please. Mr. Harmony, we appreciate you taking the time to attend. However, the board has thoroughly reviewed the matter. The bridge is for the exclusive use of Harmony Acres residents. Allowing non-residents access sets a dangerous precedent. Dangerous? How? Alex's voice rose despite his best efforts. I'm not asking for the keys to the kingdom, just the right to use a bridge to get to my own property. The integrity of our community is paramount, Mrs. Stern stated, her voice glacial. We have rules and regulations in place to protect the quality of life for our residents. Your request, while perhaps understandable, is simply not compatible with those regulations. He tried a different tack. Mrs. Stern, with all due respect, these regulations seem a little outdated. Surely there's a compromise we can reach. She steepled her fingers, her gaze unwavering. Compromise is for those who have something to compromise with, Mr. Harmony. You have a cabin and we have a bridge. They are separate entities. Defeated, Alex looked around the room. Faces stared back, a mixture of curiosity and hostility. No one spoke up in his defense. He was alone. So that's it? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. You're just going to deny me access to my own land? The board has made its decision, Mrs. Stern declared, bringing the gavel down with a resounding thud. The next item on the agenda is... She continued as if he hadn't spoken, her voice once again a monotonous drone. Alex sank back into his chair, the clicking of the knitting needles next to him a mocking soundtrack to his humiliation. He felt the weight of his grandfather's legacy pressing down on him, a legacy he couldn't even reach. The fluorescent lights seemed to buzz even louder, a constant, irritating reminder of his isolation. This wasn't over. He refused to let it be. Bridge over troubled waters. The air hung thick with unspoken accusations as Alex spread the surveyor's map across the hood of his dusty Jeep. The setting sun painted the scene in hues of angry orange and bruised purple, mirroring the growing tension. Mrs. Stern, her lips pressed into a thin, disapproving line, peered over her spectacles. Around them, the gathered residents of Harmony Glade murmured, their faces a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. This, Alex announced, tapping the map with a dirt-stained finger, clearly shows that I own the land encompassing the Harmony Creek Bridge. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Even the crickets seemed to hush as if awaiting Mrs. Stern's verdict. Preposterous, she finally declared, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. That bridge is a vital part of Harmony Glade. It belongs to the community. Always has. With all due respect, Mrs. Stern, Alex replied, striving for patience, this map, along with the deed, proves otherwise. My grandfather left it to me. He watched her closely, noting the flicker of something akin to panic in her usually steely gaze. Deeds can be misleading, she countered, her voice losing a fraction of its certainty. We've maintained the bridge for decades. We've paid for its upkeep. And I appreciate that, Alex conceded. But ownership remains with me. I'm not looking to shut anyone off, I just need access to my property on the other side. A portly man in a polo shirt stepped forward, his face flushed. So, what? You're going to charge us a toll now? Hold us hostage? Absolutely not, Alex said firmly. I just want to be able to drive across without being harassed. He glanced at the barrier, still blocking his path. And maybe, just maybe, build a cabin on my land without having to jump through hoops of fire. A younger woman, cradling a baby, spoke up, her voice hesitant. But the HOA rules, they're there for a reason. To protect our property values. Protect them from what? Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. A well-maintained cabin? I'm not planning on opening a junkyard. He could feel the tide turning ever so slightly. A few residents exchanged uncertain glances. The sheer audacity of his claim, backed by the official-looking map, was sowing seeds of doubt in their minds. Mrs. Stern, however, remained unyielding. Her knuckles were white as she gripped her cane. This changes nothing, she insisted, her voice trembling slightly. The rules are the rules. And the bridge is ours. But Mrs. Stern, a frail, elderly woman, piped up from the back. Mr. Harmony's grandfather, he did a lot for this town, didn't he? I remember him being very generous. Mrs. Stern glared at the woman, silencing her with a withering look. Sentimentality has no place in these matters, Martha. We're talking about property rights, about the very foundation of Harmony Glade. Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. He'd hoped for a more reasonable discussion, but he should have known better. Mrs. Stern was a force to be reckoned with. Look, he said, addressing the entire group. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to be able to use my own land. Let's find a way to work together to respect everyone's rights. He met Mrs. Stern's gaze, his own unwavering. Because whether you like it or not, I own that bridge. And I'm not going anywhere. A bridge to unity. The air in the community hall hung thick with apprehension. Alex shifted on the hard plastic chair, the silence amplifying the frantic rhythm of his pulse. Outside, a robin chirped, oblivious to the internal war waging within the room. He had presented his proposal, laid it bare for their scrutiny, a community project to repair the old bridge, a tangible demonstration of his commitment to the neighborhood, a peace offering wrapped in asphalt and steel. Mrs. Stern, ramrod straight in the front row, her silver hair helmet against the afternoon sun filtering through the dusty windows, cleared her throat. The sound, sharp and precise, sliced through the silence. Mr. Harmony, she began, her voice a low rasp, while we appreciate your initiative, the bridge committee already has plans. With all due respect, Mrs. Stern, Alex interjected, trying to keep his tone even, those plans have been stalled for 2 years. The bridge is deteriorating rapidly. My proposal offers a solution, a collaborative effort. We can pool resources, expertise, and get it done efficiently and, most importantly, safely. A murmur rippled through the room. He saw hesitant nods, curious glances. The seed of an idea had been planted. He pressed on. I'm not asking to take over. I'm offering to help. I have connections with engineers, contractors. I can handle the logistics, the permitting. You provide the manpower, the community spirit. We work together. Another resident, Mr. Peterson, a retired carpenter with hands gnarled like ancient oaks, spoke up. What about the cost, Harmony? These things ain't cheap. I'm willing to cover a significant portion of the material costs, Alex offered, and I'll donate all the heavy equipment needed. My team can even train volunteers in basic repair techniques. He pointed to the detailed budget projections he distributed. It's all laid out here, transparently. The tension in the room remained, but it had shifted, subtly, almost imperceptibly. The hostility hadn't vanished, but a crack had formed, letting in a sliver of hope. Mrs. Stern rose to her feet. Her shadow loomed large on the wall behind her. We will take a vote, she declared, her voice carrying a weight that silenced the room. All those in favor of considering Mr. Harmony's proposal, raise your hand. A few tentative hands went up, scattered like wildflowers in a barren field. Mr. Peterson's hand was among them. A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Alex held his breath. More hands followed, emboldened by the first few. A ripple became a wave. He risked a glance at Mrs. Stern. Her expression was unreadable, a mask of impassivity. But her hand remained firmly at her side. Those opposed, she asked, her voice devoid of inflection. A smattering of hands, mostly from the older residents closest to Mrs. Stern. The count was close, agonizingly so. Abstentions? A couple more hands went up, adding to the suspense. Mrs. Stern surveyed the room, her gaze lingering on each raised hand, each averted face. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Alex felt sweat prickling his forehead. This was it. Everything hinged on this moment. Finally, she lowered her gaze, her face softening imperceptibly. Very well, she announced, her voice barely a whisper. The proposal will be considered. We will hold a formal vote on the matter next week. A collective sigh swept through the room. Not a win, not yet, but a chance. A bridge to unity, however precarious, had been erected. He still had to convince them, to earn their trust, to prove that he was more than just an outsider trying to disrupt their way of life. But for now he had a foot in the door. And that was enough. Harmony restored. The rhythmic clang of hammers against wood echoed through the valley, a symphony of rebuilding. Alex, sweat plastering his hair to his forehead, wrestled a particularly stubborn plank into place. Beside him, Mr. Abernathy, his usually pristine khakis dusted with sawdust, chuckled. You've got the strength of 10 men, son. Though I suspect that contraption of yours helps. Alex grinned, glancing at his modified power drill, jury-rigged with an extended bit and torque amplifier. It bored through the aged timber like butter. Just trying to speed things along. Get us all back to normal, or as close to it as this place allows. Mrs. Stern, perched on a folding chair like a queen observing her subjects, surveyed the scene with a critical eye. Make sure the beam is level, Abernathy. We don't need another collapse. Her voice, though sharp, lacked its usual bite. Alex noticed a faint softening around her eyes as she watched the community working together. Even she had begrudgingly accepted a cup of lemonade from young Lily Abernathy, the girl's sticky fingers leaving a smudge on her pristine white gloves. The bridge, once a symbol of division, was now a crucible of camaraderie. Neighbors who had previously exchanged only curt nods were now sharing stories, jokes, and the occasional dropped hammer. Alex, initially an outsider, found himself integrated into the collective effort. He'd even learned Mrs. Stern's first name, Agatha, though he dared not use it aloud. He deployed another of his inventions, a pulley system powered by a repurposed electric bicycle motor to hoist the heavier planks into place. It whirred quietly, a stark contrast to the traditional methods being employed elsewhere, but even Agatha seemed impressed, offering a rare, almost imperceptible nod of approval. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the bridge took shape. The final plank was hammered into place with a resounding thud, followed by a collective cheer. Alex felt a surge of relief and something akin to belonging. Agatha, rising from her chair, addressed the crowd. "Well, it's serviceable. We'll need to reinforce it properly in the spring, but it will do for now." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces of her neighbors. "Thank you all for your hard work." It was the closest thing to an apology and an expression of gratitude Alex had ever heard from her. He watched as the residents slowly dispersed, heading back to their homes, their faces etched with fatigue but also with a sense of accomplishment. The air hummed with a newfound harmony, the tension that had permeated the valley for so long finally dissipating. With the bridge complete, Alex finally had access to his cabin. He hopped into his battered pickup truck, the engine sputtering to life, and drove across the newly rebuilt structure. The wood groaned under the weight but held firm. The cabin, nestled amongst the trees, was exactly as he remembered it from the faded photographs his grandfather had shown him. Rustic, unassuming, and undeniably his. He parked the truck, grabbed his bag, and walked towards the porch, the scent of pine needles and damp earth filling his lungs. He unlocked the door, the hinges creaking in protest, and stepped inside. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that streamed through the windows. He ran a hand over the worn wooden table, a silent greeting to the ghosts of his past. Walking onto the porch, he sat on the swing, the gentle creaking a soothing lullaby. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the valley. The sky blazed with color, a breathtaking panorama of fiery reds, vibrant oranges, and deep purples. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. The air was clean, crisp, and filled with the promise of peace. He could hear the distant murmur of the creek, the rustling of leaves in the wind, and the faint hoot of an owl. For the first time since arriving in Harmony Valley, Alex felt truly at peace. The bridge was rebuilt, the community was healing, and he was home. The battle with the HOA wasn't over, but for now he had won a small victory. He had found his place, not just in the valley, but within himself. The sunset mirroring the valley's transformation was beautiful.